Okay, this is the graphic organizer that you will be using to develop a draft of your argumentative paper. And first, let's take a look at the section here called the intro. This is where you will explain what your argument is, you will give some general information about bats, and you will identify what your thesis statement for your paper will be. Now first, let's go through this. Your argument, that's where you answer the prompt with a complete statement. So if you take a look at my model, you will be identifying something like this, that it's a statement. The bat is not a cuddly creature that rallies save the whale types to its aid and defense. So you're making a statement. You're telling your reader, here's where I stand. The next part is giving the general information about your topic, about bats. And so in my example, I've identified simply that bats are symbols for Halloween or even disease carriers, but notice I did not say what diseases. That's a specific fact that does not happen in your intro. And then I've identified that bats are feared by people. What people? I didn't say. Okay, so your intro is general information set up to entice your reader to continue going. And so the final part is your thesis statement, which is your hook. And so if we use the analogy of a fisherman, that is you have now thrown the hook out there in your intro with a nice juicy worm on the end of it. You are hoping that your reader bites onto that hook, the reader being the fish, and you are ready to take them for a whirlwind trip through your argument. Okay, so that is the first section, the intro of your outline. Okay, the next section of the outline for your argument writing is the body section. And there's a lot of repetition here, so there's some flexibility with how you can go about doing this, but for our outline, let's just follow through and go step by step. First, you'll have to identify what evidence you have for this specific part of your paper. And you have to provide your source. So if you take a look at my example, you'll see that I have identified that bats consume tons of insects, estimated that the average Indiana bat eats upwards of 600 flying insects per day. Okay, so that's a fact. That's a specific number and a specific creature. How did I know that? There's an article from the National Wildlife Federation. Okay, so there's my fact. Now the next part is to explain, what does that mean? And so this is where you do your analysis. Bats are very important for farmers and the plant's ecology in general. Okay, so that's the first part. The next part is, again, what evidence do I have? Bats are in mortal danger from a disease called white nose syndrome. Okay, specifics, white nose syndrome. Continuing, since 2006, the syndrome, named for the white fungal growth found on the muzzles of infected bats. Syndrome has killed at least 5.5 million in eastern North America. In some northeastern states, certain species of bats have been wiped out in some locations. Okay, so first you'll notice, again, a lot of details, and you'll also notice that these sentences aren't necessarily making perfect sense. That's okay. This is a draft. You're not supposed to write complete sentences in an outline. Just get your ideas down. You can have multiple forms of evidence, multiple forms of analysis in your body of your paper. That just depends on what type of writer you are and how much information you want to go with. Remember, when you use your outline, your body paragraph section is aimed at your best information. You are trying to really prove that your side is better. The other side doesn't have that, and that's where you lead that up here. That's where you give that information. One of the different parts about an argument is that you are required to explain the counterclaim. The counterclaim is the other side's opinion, the other side's argument. So it's your job to disprove what they're trying to say. So in the graphic organizer, you have to identify what their argument is, just briefly stating it. All right, you don't want a lot of information here because that's not the focus of your writing. And then you want to identify what's wrong with it. Why is your argument stronger? So taking a look at my model, again, you can write in brief sentences, you can write really long, it's up to you. But I wrote bats are disease carriers. Okay, that's what the other side would say. Bats are nuisance animals. Okay, they always get into our house. Fine. Bats really don't do anything that birds can't do more of. Sure. Farmers can use pesticides to kill bugs that bats used to eat. Okay, great. So those are the other arguments. So now I have to explain what's wrong with them, giving specific facts. And so I've identified only about 0.05% of all bats carry rabies, and my source. The agricultural benefits are estimated to exceed $3 billion a year, Fewer bats could mean farmers would be forced to use more pesticides because they are also important pollinators. Okay, great. Those are really excellent reasons to disprove the other side. So then now you could say, why is your argument stronger? Because bats are no more carriers of disease like rabies than other animals, like your regular dog. Bats are a natural form of natural pest control. Pesticides can have negative impacts on people eating the foods, and they drive farmers' costs up because they have to purchase those pesticides. So then that's what I've just done in this section. I've identified the counterclaim, I've explained what's wrong with it, and I've explained why mine is better. Okay, so the final section of your outline is your conclusion, and this is the end of your trip. We use the analogy in previous instructional videos about a roadmap. Well, this is where we diagram where we're going to stop, where we're going to wrap it up, and that comes from our thesis statement. Again, that was from another instructional video that we had available for you. So in the conclusion, your job is to restate what you said and summarize your best evidence. So this is where you have to think like a boxer, okay? Muhammad Ali, he always had that 1-2 combination. Well, you've given him that one punch. Now you're trying to sock him out. You're trying to knock him out and make them go, whoa, this argument is totally on point. We need to fix this problem, because that's your job. So restate your topic sentence. In that case, I wrote, bats, are wondrously diverse and important creatures that are not nearly as cute as other animals. So when I go back up to my intro, my topic sentence, the bat is not a cuddly creature that rallies save the whale types to its aid and defense. So I've said basically the same thing, but I use vastly different language. And then summarize your strongest evidence. Okay, again, I didn't write complete sentences because this is just an idea, a place for my ideas. So I wrote pest control, save money, keep the amount of pesticides out of the environment, and keep nature in balance. That's my best information. When I write it out in my conclusion, I'm going to make sure that I really flesh out those ideas.